So, at the beginning, you felt you were going to go down the mental health counselor route. You did it because you wanted to understand more about yourself, and then realized you had a passion for it. And then you went to university, graduated, hung out a shingle. Nobody came, and you realized that you needed a different direction, and you got a coach. I mean, we talked a lot about marketing. That marketing helped to build the business, but I think really, like you said, the turning point that brought it back full circle was getting a coach. So let's dig a little bit deeper into that. Who knows? Maybe we don't need a whole nother episode. Maybe we'll just talk about here in the aftermath. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. Thank goodness I don't use a teleprompter or a script. But now, so the whole point is you got a coach. How did that start to change your view of everything, your view of your business, your view of yourself? What did you go through when you got that coach, and how did it start to change everything?
Well, it really helped me step up and take ownership too, because I realized on one level I wasn't being fully committed to my business either. And, that had, nothing to do with having to work a little bit on the side to support myself. I mean, I think, that can be necessary for people, but it was really a mindset shift. Like I was still in a place of fear where I hadn't fully committed. So again, those kind of mixed signals that I'm sending to the universe, sending to my clients, to the people around me of wanting to grow this business, but of course having fear get in the way from fully jumping in. So that helped me commit on a whole different level and really say, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to grow a coaching business. I want to be able to help people deal with their stress and anxiety. And through, learning those tools myself, that's when I really started focusing on helping other women entrepreneurs and wanting to share that with them, and then bring in that element of the stress management, which I think is absolutely huge. So we don't wind up in a place of burnout and stress. We can't get anything done, right? If we're that overwhelmed, we can't be creative, we can't get focused, and we actually can't get to work. So that's how this kind of eventually came together.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. And yes, folks, I was biting my nails. It was kind of these, stress. It's much better to work with Kara than sit and bite your nails all day long. So one of the questions, though, would be, here in the States, and this might be a cultural thing or it might be a country thing, so I'm not sure. That's why I'm going to ask it this way. Here in the States, when we talk about mental health professionals, we're talking about licensed professionals, people who've gone to university, gone to college, graduated with a degree, master's in sociology, something like that. Sometimes they're PhDs and are doctors. I'm not sure that, I don't know if licensed counselors need to be doctors, but I know a lot of them are actually PhDs and that sort of thing. So I'm showing my ignorance. Maybe I'm talking out my patootie here. I have no clue. That's a new word. That'll be in the English dictionary next year. But that's besides the point. My question to you is this, is that in Canada, when you graduated and were doing the mental health counseling, is that a licensed professional where, you can do insurance and that sort of thing? Is that what that is, or is it closer to what we would consider coaching, basically life coaching and everything, where you don't really need an official license or an official doctorate, where you're a counselor that's just that's sitting there, using talk therapy and everything. Which way does it go up there?
Right, yeah, and that's a good question because there are so many different levels in the field. So when I graduated, it would be, I considered like I'm able to practice mental health once I get registered. So that's kind of just another step as well. But as a registered counselor, there would definitely be, legislation or regulations around that where you can then work with different insurance companies or employee assistance programs to provide counseling and
And here's the reason I asked that question is because here in the States, and this is the second part of that question, here in the States, when a mental health professional, licensed counselor or psychologist, psychotherapist decides to go from that to coaching, it's a huge change for them because they really have to, in most cases, they almost have to divest themselves from being that mental health professional because it's a completely different thing. Because coaches, hey, I'm a coach. I love coaches, but we should never be diagnosing mental issues because we're not skilled and prepared for it. So there are some that kind of straddle the line because they have both. But that's kind of the question I was going to get to is you had a particular business model, when you switched to coaching, was it a complete switch in your business model where you really had to act different, or was it an extension, or how did that all work?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still me showing up for either
Right.
client, but it's certainly, yeah, it's a different approach, right? Because it's, what for one thing with the coaching, you know, I'm working to find clients myself that I connect with and resonate with instead of being able to, you know, sign on with different insurance plans. Like you said, it's not kind of the diagnosing elements. So the clients that are coming in for coaching usually aren't coming in, you know, for that kind of treatment of, you know, help me with depression or anxiety, right? It's more, you know, future focus. These are the goals. This is what I want to achieve. So it's a much lighter feeling to it as well. Just
Yeah.
the energy around it is quite different because you're not getting into the diagnosis and you know, a lot of that stuff. So it really is a whole separate thing, absolutely. And you know, often a whole different approach that's used as well. Again, it isn't so much going over the past unless it's something that's still you know, affecting you today. So it is different methods that are used and all that stuff. So it's yeah, it was a shift on many different levels, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's great. And part of the reason I asked is going to lead into the next question is when you started working with a coach, did the coach look into your business, your mental health business, and try and help you pick out what you really loved and what you didn't like about it, and start to allow you to see that there were pieces of it that that might be holding you back, or that you might need to do differently? And is that what caused the change in the coaching and changing your business model, or did that not happen and it was something different?
Yeah, and I think that was kind of like a gradual thing as well, is realizing the approach is very different. I mean, again, with the counseling, it tends to be very much one-on-one hourly sessions, whereas with coaching, you know, you more are likely to offer programs or different workshops that people come to and commit, you know, a larger amount of time. So the model that's used is a little bit different too. So it's kind of getting out of, you know, you book one client at a time for an hourly session to you can create these coaching packages and really develop a plan to help people move forward. So, you know, on that level, it was different as well.
But I guess my deeper question there is, did the coach help you in that direct? Did the coach help you recognize things like that? And was it the coach that helped you change? And there actually is. I'm going to summarize this. There actually is a reason to all these questions. Did the coach actually help you kind of summarize and shift gears and shift focus at that point?
Yeah, and I mean, that was kind of my desire as well. Like, again, the more I had heard about coaching, that was something that I wanted to, you know, dive deeper into that other side of it too. So there was some help in being able to switch that over and in changing that mindset as well of what it looks like to, you know, be the mental health professional as opposed to being a coach.
Yeah, and here's the reason I ask all these questions. I think this is kind of a good place to slowly start to wrap up the heroine's journey. Fact of the matter is a lot of people watching the show today, and maybe even you personally, there on the blue couch. Yeah, put the soda down. It's okay. You know, pick up a coffee, or no, I'm just kidding. But that's besides the point. Pick up your drink of choice. People sometimes really need a good stiff one to get through this whole show. I don't know that, but that's what they tell me. So anyway, but the fact of the matter is that we're all in places at some points where we question where things might, you know, where things just aren't going right, and we question how can we make things better. What it sounds like you did, Kara, was not only question, you know, it's like, okay, things should be going well, but they're not. Start questioning and start looking for different avenues to practice something similar to what you're doing. I mean, is that a fair statement where things weren't going good and you just went out and looked and said, okay, I kind of like doing this. Are there different ways I could do the same thing that might go better for me?
Absolutely, yeah, and yeah, I think it kind of evolves with me, and I'm sure my business will continue to do that as I grow and change. So, you know, and at the time early on in my life where I was really trying to figure out and work through my own feelings feelings of anxiety, being drawn to the psychology profession was something that was huge. And as I was able to work through more of that and at a different stage, then my interests also shifted, and who I wanted to work with, changed as well, and what I wanted to offer them. And there's certainly a lot of wonderful, techniques and ways that I've learned to build rapport and connect with people from my training that'll, continue to help me, no question. But it's, I think, that kind of evolution that you're talking about, Chris, was, the evolution within myself. And as I changed and I grew, my interest in what I wanted to offer changed along with that.
Yeah, and I think that's a great place. I couldn't have said any better myself, and I think that's a great place to kind of take a breath for a second. So, folks, we're going to go ahead and take a 30-second break. On the other side of the break, we're going to continue talking with Kara, and she's going to be. This is where we're going to dive in to her whole expert focus and how womenpreneurs can overcome stress and grow a profitable business. And let's face it, those are two things that are extremely important to all entrepreneurs and womenpreneurs, in particular. Reducing stress, overcoming stress, and growing a profitable business. Because let's face it, you can't turn the light on for somebody else if you can't afford to pay your own electricity bill. I almost got that quote right. I'll get it right eventually. So, folks, stick around, and we'll be right back. Raise your hand if you could use more clients. Now keep those hands up if you know that the best, most efficient, most effective way to attract your ideal client is to create great client attracting content that connects with your ideal client and makes it easier for you to convert them into paying clients. Now, whether you have your hands up or have your hands down, I invite you to join me on the Create, Connect, and Convert Online Summit. It's where I and other people who are real-world practitioners of creating great client-attracting content are going to share our secrets with you. The summit is online. It runs Wednesday, April 13th through Saturday, April 23rd. You need to go out to the web address on your screen at this point, register to reserve your seat. And remember, you want to join us on the Create, Connect, and Convert Online Summit, because creating content is how you spread your message, reach more people, and make a bigger difference. To watch the rest of this epic episode now, click on the link below the video. Do it now, you'll be glad you did. Are you still here? What are you waiting for? Watch the rest of this epic episode now by clicking on the link below the video.